Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the Chinese opening. So, do you guys know what it's for? Is it territorial or is it trying to make a big framework?
Framework?
So, someone I was teaching recently thought that this was for territory. Actually, it's not for territory. In fact, if black plays this, it's actually not very good. Pros wouldn't like that, especially these days. Because black still has a weakness in here. And in fact, even if we have it one closer, this is still considered not really good enough. So, of course, after black plays this, white might play something like this. Just like what I told you, right? If black plays here or here, then usually we play here. Now, because this stone is high, it means it's vulnerable to moves like this, right? It's kind of attacking the underside, and black really doesn't want to have to play something like this, right? It's bad. It's bad. you basically, it looks like you have a corner like this, and white plays this questionable move, and then not good, right? You want to like extend here or attack. So that's why black would probably play something, or at least consider playing something around here, but it's not good because there's still weaknesses and black's kind of trapped all on one side. So it's not really for territory. If black wanted territory, black would play this, which is totally legitimate, totally fine. So yeah, this is actually for Moyo, and here's how it works. The idea is if white actually plays something inside here, there's barely any room for white to make two eyes, right? Because it's black's turn now, so black, where to play?
D5.
D5. This one. Anyone else?
C4.
C4.
Yeah, maybe C4.
Correct. Correct. Okay, here's why this one is not quite correct. It's because it's very easy for white to live now. White can just play the typical hane. Black would presumably extend here. And there's several things white can do, but one simple way is just to play here. And already white's almost alive, and the shape is pretty strong. There's no way for black to lock white inside. So by playing this, you get the corner and you stop you stop white from getting to make two eyes in this area. So white pretty much has to play here. And then to avoid white from closing you in on this side, black can just play something like this or this. And this also helps to keep pressure on these two stones. They're under attack, so these two stones still have to run out or at least play something like this or this. And still nowhere near alive, right? So this is why it's actually, in the Chinese formation, it's actually bad for white to come in right away. Because white's just going to continuously get attacked. And even if white keeps moving out, black can keep making territory and keep attacking. And yeah, this is how you attack. You don't really attach to your opponent to try to attack them. That's not how it works. In fact, when you touch your opponent, you both have less than 4 liberties in this case, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This means that white pretty much has to respond. So maybe like this, which means that black has to respond. And then you basically both keep having to respond, and what that means is that by attaching to your opponent, you just make them stronger. You make yourself stronger and you make them stronger. So yeah, to attack, you just keep your distance. And if they ignore you, then you start playing moves like this, which threaten to surround the whole thing, while also still making you territory. So basically the way to attack is to stay calm and focus on the territory you're making rather than trying to actually capture. Black should by no means expect to capture this group. That's totally not what attacking is about.
About 3 more minutes.
Sure. Yeah, so this is a Moyo opening. And black wants to invite white in here to attack white, right? Because by attacking, you can make a lot of territory elsewhere. In other words, even though black plays here and looks like he's trying to get this, actually what black wants is for white to come in, attack white, and make territory elsewhere. So rather than coming in, white usually plays something else. For example, even just this. You can see this a lot in professional games, this move. So one of the goals for this opening for black is to get a stone around here, because we agreed it's a moyo opening, and this is where black wants to make the moyo formation. Black knows that white is going to be under attack here, so it makes sense to build up this area because we know that white's either not going to come in or going to have a hard time here, so building in a nearby side makes sense. And it's pretty much now that white usually comes in, because now that black already has 3 stones here, 3 to 1, or more like 4 to 1, right? We already know we're gonna get a bad result, right? But now that black has so many more stones here anyways, he deserves to get a way better result than us. So that's why we can come in now and play out the result that looks bad. For example, attach in the corner like this, and we want to keep white not alive, so we would play this move. And white has barely any room to extend, so here, and still black can attack white. It's not completely two eyes. So, this is one classic variation. So white's actually fine here because white has like almost 10 points there, completely alive, and black still hasn't completely gotten this territory or this territory. Okay, I'll just give you guys one final quiz question. Where should white play?
L3.
L3. Anyone else? Just any guess is fine.
D5, C5. D5, C5.
Okay, around there. So around there, here, what else? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Just throw out your answers. D5. Okay, so yeah, so it makes sense to play in this area. This move is actually too early. If white plays here, basically there's a lot of open places to play on the board right now. So there's no, even though black's trying to make territory here, there's no reason to rush and try to make sure black doesn't make 10 points here. Because now black's gonna have 3 to 1 on you here, and even if you make territory here, black's gonna get a big wall anyways, and you're just not really gaining much. So it's better to wait a little later, and after some stones have been played here, then this can be a good move. So remember I said before that when there's a stone around here, it means something here is big, right? The reverse is true. So if we have a stone anywhere around here, that means over here is really big. So approaching this corner is the best way, but if you approach close, which is usually normal, then because this stone is helping this one, they say this is better for black because it puts a lot of pressure on white, and if white jumps, for example, then it feels like white's running into this stone. So usually when this jumping battle happens, where the players keep jumping, white's goal, because white has no territory yet, right? So white's goal is usually to counter pincer after. But with this helper here, it's going to be very hard for white because black's going to jump and this whole thing is just going to be under attack again. And the similar is true with the low approach. If it goes like this, then this one is helping this a lot. So white can't choose a joseki such as this one. And it's basically really hard for white. So here, it's unusual, but this is usually the correct move for this situation. If black simply goes here, white can simply extend. And if black pincers, there's a joseki for this, which could become the one that we discussed in the beginning. Now it's normal, right? But there is one more variation where black cuts and white cuts him back. So that's just something you need to study. Okay, so that's it.